Okay, and welcome this morning to the Paths to Louisiana Educational Leadership Certification. So, my name is Desiree Alexander, and I go by Educator Alexander, which is my brand. And you see my website is on the slide. Also, when you look at the right-hand corner, you see web links too. If you click on any of these web links and then click on Browse to, you can actually go to that site. So the first one is the evaluation, the second one is how you can get these resources, and the third one is also the evaluation and request for more information. This session is sponsored by APEL, and APEL is the Associated Professional Educators of Louisiana. It is a professional organization for teachers and administrators. It's non-political, it promotes teachers as professional, and it is a nonprofit. The benefits of becoming an APEL educator is that you have professional liability insurance, legal services. You can get grants and scholarships, which I definitely have received before. Awesome PD opportunities like this. Cash bonuses for sharing APEL with your coworkers. And of course, you become a part of that great network. This is how you can get to APEL, and on that evaluation and request more information, it has a little checkbox for more information about APEL, so I can actually send you some more information. The big thing is that we do have a conference coming up July 13th through 14th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and all of the information about that is on the website. And of course, I can send it to you. You can just check the box and I'll send you everything that you need. AIE is also letting us use their platform, so we want to give them a shout out as a sponsor. And what AIE is Advanced Innovative Education. And what they do is they are one of the state approved paths to educational leadership certification. And they are accepting applications right now for cohort 11, as you can see at the top. You can see that the total program cost for the 14 months is $3,500, and they have payment plans for that. So we want to give them a shout out because they're allowing us to use their platform to have our webinar today. This is the information to contact me. It will be at the end, but I like to put it at the beginning because some people may need to leave early. So this is my contact information. Some of the people in here are actually in the AIE program, and some of these people are actually APEL members and they know me. I will respond to you. Do not ever be afraid to contact me. So you see my email address right there, and you see my website and where the materials can be located. And this is the evaluation. I please ask you to leave a comment about the training, but I will have this at the end as well. And of course, you can chat with each other in the chat box as we're going. If I see a question, I'll try to answer it, but we are going to get started. Okay, so we're talking about educational leadership certification in the state of Louisiana. When you think about other states, they have other criteria. So this is specifically for Louisiana. First of all, the educational leadership, the one that you will be receiving for your first one, is called an EDL1. So if you see EDL1, that's what you're going for. And you have 4 ways that you can get your EDL1. And we're going to go through all 4 ways. The first way is the master's degree pathway. And then you have 3 alternative pathways. And for any of them, this is this big red note at the bottom. For any of them, you're going to have your teaching certification level 1 or 2, or type A or B, because they changed that over, and you're going to have to pass the SLLA exam. And what that is the School Leaders Licensure Assessment. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to talk to you about the SLLA exam a little bit. I do a 4-hour test prep session, and again, you can just email me for more information on that, but I'm going to go through a couple of items that everybody needs to know to get you started. Okay, the first pathway is your master's degree. And what that means is that you have gotten a master's degree from an accredited university in educational leadership. It has to say educational leadership. If you've gotten a degree and it says administration, then you will have to get a letter from your school, because I know some like online schools and things like that, you can get a master's in administration. So you just have to get a letter from your school saying that your program followed the national leadership standards. For example, the ISLLC standards. It's not a hard process. Don't freak out. If you have a master's degree and it says administration, not a big deal. Just contact your school, tell them that you need a letter saying that the program that you were in followed the national leadership standards, and you would submit that with your application. So not a big deal at all. You just have to do that one extra step. If you have a master's degree in educational leadership, then all you would have to do is submit your official transcript from your school. If it has administration, you'll do your official transcript and the letter. And of course, you have to have that passing test score. For Path 1, that is an individualized program. What it is almost, you can think of it like what I want to say, independent study. You can think about it like an independent study from a university. So you're still going to a university, you're just not on the master's degree path. They are going to put together an individualized program for you to go through. It may be about 12 to 18 hours of coursework, but it depends on the program that you go into. So they are going to put together a program for you, and you have to go through that coursework. Okay. With this pathway, you must have a master's degree in anything. You have to have a graduate degree, so master's, PhD, but you have to have a graduate degree to take this route. And again, they didn't say a graduate degree in what, you just have to have a graduate degree. When you're applying for Path 1, you have to submit your official transcripts. You will get a letter of completion from the program, and of course, you have to have that passing test score. We'll go through a little bit later the application process, and we'll also go through a little bit later what colleges have these individualized programs. Path 2 is a very, very, very popular path, and what it is the 240-hour clock hours. So first of all, you have to have a master's degree, a PhD, some type of graduate degree in education. So if you don't have the graduate degree in education, you cannot take this path. If you have a graduate degree already in education, then what you're going to do is you're going to clock 240 hours of leadership experience either at your school or at a school or in a district level. So you're going to have 240 clock hours, and it has to be aligned with Bulletin 125. We're going to talk about that a little bit on the next slide. When you are doing those clock hours, you do have a form that you will fill out saying, I put together a master's schedule. It took 5 hours. Someone has to sign off on that. So if you worked with your principal doing the master's schedule, your principal will sign off saying, yes, she spent 5 hours doing the master schedule. Somewhere in that packet it says that you also have to have a letter from that person saying that you did that. That is not a requirement as long as they sign off on the form. So let's say you did something in another district and you want to count it, and that person, you can't get to that person to sign off on the form. They can do a letter saying, yes, she spent these hours doing this requirement, so yes, you can give her the clock hours for it. But you don't have to have both. You can either have a signature or you can have the letter from the person saying that you did it. I emailed them to ask about this question because I always have a lot of people asking me, is there a specific timeline for the experiences? Like, does it have to be within this school year? And their answer was there's really not a general specific timeline, but they like a general rule is that you're looking at the last 5 years of your leadership experiences, which is a good chunk of time if you've been doing a lot of stuff. Okay, and again, it goes by clock hours, not by how many things you did. So that's the general rule for that. You are creating a portfolio with your clock hours because once you have that paper and people are signing off, you also need to have artifacts. What that means is you have to show some of the stuff that you did. Your portfolio does not have to be bound or put in a binder, which a lot of people go ahead and do because it's an easy way to organize all of their stuff. But whatever you do, it should be well organized and it should be by standard. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say by standard, you need to look at Bulletin 125, which there's a link to it on here. And also, when you go to resources, you have this PowerPoint, and there's a link on the website to it. And you also need to look at the ISLLC, which I had on the previous slide. ISLLC, the ISLC standards. Your portfolio will not be returned, so whatever you turn in, you may want to have a copy of it. And of course, with any path, you have to have that passing SLLA score. Okay, we have any questions so far? We're doing good. I'm not seeing much discussion. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. We're all doing good. All right. Path 3 is a practitioner program. So Path 3 are your programs like AIE that I discussed in the beginning. It's a program that you enter, and is usually a certain amount of time, like a 14-month program. You're not getting a degree or anything like that in it. They're just teaching you how to be a leader, and you're doing the criteria for the program. It's kind of a more structured way of getting it, of getting your certification. You have to have at least 3 years of certified teaching to enter one of these programs, but you really do have a choice of finding a provider. These are the providers that are listed on the state website as approved state providers. So these are your providers. You pick one, you can research, see which one you like better, and enter one. You pay, you enter the program, you get out in a certain amount of time, and what you get from the program is a letter saying that you have completed this program. You don't submit a transcript because you don't have a transcript. You have the letter saying she has done all of the requirements, or he has done all of the requirements for this program. So with that letter, you turn that letter in with your application, and of course your passing test score, and you can go ahead and get your EDL1. All right, this is the list of the approved programs in the state. So the ones that are in yellow are your practitioner programs, your Path 3. The ones that are not in yellow are your colleges that you're going to get your master's degree from. And the one in green, I'm not too sure because it doesn't have an email address, so I'm not too sure where that would fit in, but I wanted to include it since it was on this site. All right, so I'm going to stop right here and take some questions, because I know it's a lot of information thrown at you, so I don't want to, go too far. Okay, Wendy, you can either type your question or you can unmute your mic by going up to where the little man with the hand and you see your mic. You can just click it and it should unmute it. Or you can type it in. Okay, looks like Wendy's typing, so that's completely fine. And anybody else, if you have a question, please, you can start typing or just raise your hand by clicking the little man with the hand raised at the top. And you can unmute your mic and talk your question or speak your question. Okay, Wendy's typing. While she's typing, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, so the EDL1 certificate is an entry-level certification. Okay, it's an entry-level certification for individuals seeking to qualify for different types of jobs. So one, of course, is your assistant principals, your principals, parish or city supervisors of instruction, supervisors of child welfare and attendance, any type of district position. So when I first okay. Wendy says, I'm currently attending Arkansas State University, getting my master's in ed leadership. Is this an accredited school for Louisiana? If you go to the Louisiana website, it does have a place where you can put in your school to see if it is accredited. And if you shoot me an email, I can send you that direct link. But there is a place where you can go and type in your school, and it'll tell you if it's accredited or not. And I'm also going to have the contact for the state leadership people that you can contact as well. And Miranda put a note that the Louisiana contact is no longer Dr. Ross. I'm guessing the state, you're welcome, Wendy. The state has not updated that information. So if you're looking at Louisiana College, definitely look in the chat box because Miranda has put the new contact for that college. Wendy, if you can unraise your hand, just click it again and it will unraise it. Is this the information found on the LDOE website? Yes, it is. This is directly, I copied and pasted the chart from the website. Okay, so the EDL1 certification, this is what it's for. I know when I first started going through it, I said, I never want to be a principal. There's no reason for me to get this. But it's not just for principals. It's for any upper level administration position. Okay, so let's talk about the application packet. The application packet is on that site that says resources. And we have a question, is there a minimum amount of time that Path 2 should take? Or is it just as long as you get the 240 clock hours? It is the 240 clock hours. And that's why they tell you, you can look kind of within your past 5 years. So if you've been doing stuff, you can go ahead and get your signatures and turn it in tomorrow. So as long as you get that 240 clock hours and that you look at that bulletin and look at the application, because it has a chart in it that shows you different different things that you should be doing. As long as you're following that, you're fine. And we'll take a look at the packet if we have time in a second. Okay. Good. I'm glad you are, Christy. Okay, so educational leadership application process. You can see the link that you can go ahead and get your application under the certification tab. You do the application for any of the paths that you want to take. Once you turn in your application, you will get a letter notifying you if you're approved or not. You usually, the fastest way to do it is to keep track of the when you go to Teach Louisiana and click on certification, you can put in your name and it'll kind of tell you where they are in the process. So that's the easiest way to keep track of where your application is. So let me kind of explain this last part. When you get your EDL1, it's like, okay, I got it. Where's my certificate? It won't be, you won't actually get the EDL1 certification itself until you have found an administrator job. Okay, so let me explain that. On your teaching certificate, you will get a little note that says this person is eligible to get their EDL1. That means they've gone through everything that they need, they're certified, but the reason why they're not going to send you the actual standalone certification is because you have 3 years from the time you get that certification to apply for your EDL2. And what you need to do between that 3 years is you have to get 3 good evaluations as an administrator. So let me give you a scenario. If I'm a teacher in a classroom and I apply for my EDL1 and I get it, but I don't get a principal job for 2 years, you don't want 2 years you not to get your principal evaluations. Because then guess what? After that 1 year that you become a principal, you're going to have to go through a program all over again. So instead of making you do that, they don't give you the actual certification, the actual standalone certificate, until you actually get a job. Okay, we're going to go through the application packet. I do have a question. Do you still have to take the ISLLC exam with the 240 clock hours? You have to take the exam with every and anything. Any path you take, you have to take the ISLLC exam. Any of them. You have to pass that exam. The exam is a non-negotiable for any of them. All right. So on the leadership application packet, which is on their website and it's also on the resources website, I tried to make it easy for you to get. You do have to mail everything in. Nothing is electronic just yet. So you mail everything. What if no job is available? I'm sorry, I keep reading questions in the middle of me talking. That's rude, but I do have a question. What if no job is available within those 3 years? Okay, Johnson, that's why they don't give you the certificate until you get a job. So once they put it on your teacher certification, you can keep that for 50 years. So they're not going to give you the standalone certificate until you get a job, because that's when those 3 years starts. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just type it in, like, explain some more. Um, Okay, so with your application, these are the things that you're going to turn in. You're going to turn in the actual application. You do have a professional conduct form that you have to turn in with any of the applications. You're going to turn in a copy of your teaching license, and you may say, well, they already have my teaching license. You need to turn in everything with the packet to make it very clear and very smooth. You're going to turn in your experience verification forms. That's the forms that people are signing off on. Again, only if you're doing Pathway 2. You're going to turn in your official transcripts if you're doing the master's or your Pathway 1. You're going to turn in a letter from your program provider if you're doing Pathway 1 or 3, which is your college individual study or your practitioner program. You're going to turn in your SLLA praxis score. You have to do the praxis. And you're going to turn in your certification processing fee. So for your certificate, it's a $50 fee. So start saving that now. If that's going to be a problem, start saving it. And all the application materials need to go in at one time. You turn it all in at one time. Check with your district, because some districts like to turn it in for you. So check with your district. So you may have to turn it into your district and they'll mail it off for you. So check with them to see. I can guarantee you that when you get a job, your district will send that in. So when you go and you get, just like me, I got my certification and I didn't get a job for that first 6 months. And then when I got a job, I went to my district that I got a job from and said, hey, I'm now an administrator. Can you turn whatever we need to turn in to the state to get my standalone certification? And it depends on the district what they do. They may tell you to go ahead and fill out the application, or they may tell you, hey, we'll just send a letter, we'll just tell them that you got it and then you'll get it. So it just depends on the district. Okay, I have a question. If you get an instructional specialist job, will that count? If it counts as an administrator position. So a good way to test that is you may want to look at the job specifications. If it says that you have to have an educational leadership certification, then yes, it will count. Or of course, you can just ask your district, does this job count as administration? Another question, can you get a leadership position while working on your master's? I'm not quite sure what that means. If you're taking the first pathway, the master's degree pathway, it really just depends on the district. If they want to give you a job without being certified, it's almost like being a teacher. If they want to give you a job while you're working on your certification, that's between you and the district. The EDL application is done after you pass the ISLLC. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I didn't quite get it. But yes, you have, yeah, because you need to turn in your ISLLC scores with the application or they're not going to accept it. So yes, you have to do your application after you actually pass the test. Do you know anyone that has study sessions for ISLLC? You would think I planted her there. Well, yes, I do study sessions for ISLLC. So you can definitely contact me, Angelique, and we can get that set up. Okay. And just, I'll have my email address at the end, and I do 4-hour test press sessions. I do practice tests. I do individual. I do small group. And then we usually have some free ones floating out there. I think the next free one will be around November and December. So just get with me and I will give you all the information. And that's for anybody, not just Angelique. Okay. So educational leadership updates. The EDL, and I've kind of already said this, is no longer an add-on endorsement. So when you get the real certificate, after you've gotten a job, is going to be an actual stand-alone certificate. So what that means is it's a completely separate certificate. So you'll have your teacher certificate over here, and then you'll have your EDL one certificate over there. So it's a completely separate certificate. Everything on this slide is what I've already said. The eligibility statement that will be on your teacher certificate until you get the job, blah, blah, blah. I've already said all that. Okay, so I'm not going to go through this a whole bunch because this is the pathway to your EDL1. So I know everybody's just like, I just want to know about EDL1, let alone 2 and 3. But just to kind of let you know, the EDL1 is valid for 3 years, and that's why they don't give it to you until you get a job. And it will be, you can apply for the EDL2 if you get those good evaluations. Your EDL2 is valid for it's supposed to be 5 years, but it's valid for 5. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So yeah, it is valid for 5 years initially, and then you can either stick to the EDL2 or you can take the superintendent exam and apply for your EDL3. So no one just kind of has the EDL3. It's not like, oh, I've been an administrator for 10 years, so now I can get my EDL3. Your EDL3 is for your superintendent certification, and that is a separate test. So everybody, all your administrators will either be EDL1 or EDL2 unless you're going for superintendent. Okay. When you have questions about Louisiana certification, of course you can email me. If I know, I'll be happy to help. But I am not the expert, but I will be happy to help. I know a bunch about it and I help people through it. But this is where you go. You go to louisianabelieve/resources/AX-LDOE. I promise you, if you call, all they're going to do is tell you to go here. So please don't waste your 30 minutes on the phone. Go here, you fill out the little contact form, and then somebody will email you back. But I'm actually going to give you the email addresses to some of the state people. But you can go here. This is where you start to ask questions. Oh, and the important note at the bottom is that, and you probably know this by now, that they no longer print certifications and mail them to you. You have to go to the site and print off your own certification. Okay, so these are some questions that were asked to the LDOE. I did not put this PowerPoint together. I did add some slides to it, but this is the PowerPoint directly from the LDOE. So what is the Ed Leadership Certification process? And you can see we've already talked about this, the things that you have to turn in with the application. What do we turn into the LDOE and how do we do this? You have to mail it in. There is no online, and you do have to put it together yourself. Even if you're in a program, nobody's going to do it for you. You have to put your whole packet together yourself. This is how you get to the leadership packet. We've already talked about that. You do have to print it and mail it in. Does the EDL1 certificate cover all grade levels? Which is an awesome question, and yes, it does. It is a K through 12 certification. Very good question. And this is a very good question because I actually do hold a lifetime teaching certificate. I was one of those lucky people that got in before the deadline. So would obtaining this certification hurt that status in any way? It does not, because it's a standalone certification. So because your EDL1 is a completely separate certification, it does not mess up your teaching certificate. And you can see the second bullet, individuals serving in a leadership role who have been issued one are required to meet the standards, to get those good evaluations. And if your Ed Leader Renewal guidelines are not met, your teaching certificate is still valid. So that's really important. So if you become an administrator, and I hate to say it, but you're just a sucky administrator, it won't mess up your teaching certificate. That's a really important question. Okay, these are the 3 people that you can contact. Now, of course, again, this PowerPoint is on the resources web link, so you don't have to, ferociously copy all these down. I know the one that I always go through is Regina Poole. I think she just drew my name, and unfortunately, I ask her 1,000 questions, and she always answers me. But there is a great resources on. There is a great resource on louisianabelieves.com. If you go there and go to the bottom of the screen and click the APEL, it will bring you to iTunes U. I will tell you, I tried to do this in Chrome and it wouldn't work, so I had to use Internet Explorer. But when you do that, you click on the talent folder, and there's a webinar, just like we're doing right now. There's a webinar on there from these people, from Regina. And I mean, they're saying the same information I'm saying, but it's still a good resource. So I wanted to make sure that I told Regina that I would let you guys know that they do have a webinar on there that you can go and watch. So this is how you can get to it. Okay, so the next part of this is kind of talking about the SLLA test and test prep. So if you have any questions about that first part, go ahead and do them now, and then we'll get into the second part. Because I know I'm going pretty quickly, but I want to make sure we get through everything, and we're doing really good with time. For Path 2, I need a graduate degree in education. Does a master's degree in school counseling qualify? That I'm not too sure, because I'm not sure if school counseling, I know like curriculum instruction, things like that. I'm not sure. So I don't want to lie to you and say yes or no, but that is a question I would definitely email to one of them, because I'm not 100% sure if, because I'm thinking school counseling would be from the counseling department and not the education department. But again, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to answer or scare you or anything like that. So I would definitely email one of them and ask them. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead and type them in. You see that I'm kind of stopping and answering them, so you should be good. Okay, the SLLA test. Let me tell you a little bit about it so you can start planning. We're not going to go through this. This is just a little bit about me. The main thing at the bottom is the possible score range is 100 through 200, and my score on the test was a 185. So that's kind of the most important thing on this slide. Where do you get materials for the SLLA test? Well, since I do the test prep, you can go to my website and go to presentations and go to, I don't know what it says, SLLA test prep, I think. And you can get a whole bunch of materials from there to help you out. We're going to look at this if we have time, which you probably won't, but if you have time, you can definitely go to these two links. They're from ETS, who's the company that produces your test, and it helps you see how your test is set up. So where it says your computer test, you can click on that. I will tell you that the SLLA test is online. You do not and cannot have a paper test, unless maybe, I know sometimes if you have accommodations, that's a whole different story. But just if you don't have accommodations and those kind of things, you do not have the option of doing a paper test. So I always like to tell my people, if you know that you don't type fast, you want to practice and try to hone on those skills before you go and take the test. It also tells you about test day procedures, because I like to warn my people that there's certain places you can go and take the test, and they're very big into test security. So you will be kind of wanded like you do at the airport. So you will be wanded, because I was like, am I going in jail or taking a test? What am I doing? So you'll be wanded. You'll have to empty out your pockets. The thing that really got me is if you like to take stuff off and put stuff on like a sweater, you couldn't do that in the testing room. So you actually had to raise your hand, leave the testing room, go put on your sweater, come back in the testing room and take your test. And of course the test is timed. So, those are little things that these two little demos will show you. So there really are good demos to watch. And I don't know if we're going to have time. Okay, so how do you register? And you see my slides kind of messed up for some reason, but how you register for the test is you can go to this website. It is a $425 test. So it is not like your teaching test where you can, throw $100 at it and you're done. It's $425. So this is not a test that you want to, take 3 and 4 times if you can help it. So definitely take some test prep classes, study, do what you need to do. You must register for the test at least 3 full days prior to the date that you want to take it. And you may think, well, duh. But no, we have people that wake up and go, hey, I want to take it today. But you can't. You have to register at least 3 full days prior to the date. Your scores will be sent to you after the testing window closes. And I'll explain that on the next slide. 2 to 3 weeks. So these are your testing windows. I've highlighted the ones that are in the future for 2016. Your test code is 6011. If you see test prep materials that have 1011 on it, that's fine. That's just when it used to be the paper test. So you can use 1011, but your actual test code that you're going to register for is 6011. And again, you can see the testing window, so that means between May 2nd and May 14th, they're going to have dates in different cities that you can go to test. Even if you go and take the test on May 2nd, you are not going to get your test scores until 2 to 3 weeks after May 14th. Okay, so let me repeat that. Even if you go and take your test on the first day of the testing window, you're not going to get your scores until 2 to 3 weeks after the last date of the testing window, which would be May 14th. Any questions so far? I know it's a lot of information. Ask away. I don't mind at all. All right. I must be pretty clear. I don't see any questions. All right. So about your test. So you see the time. You have 2 sections of the test. You have the multiple choice section and the constructed response. The constructed response is your short answer, if you want to think about it that way. So you have 2 hours and 20 minutes for the multiple choice and 1 hour and 40 minutes for the constructed response. Multiple choice, you will have 100 questions. Constructed response, you will have 7. So if you time that out, it's about 1.4 minutes for your multiple choice per question, about 14 minutes for constructed response. With your constructed response, you are going to have data for some of them. So they'll ask you a question. You have to look through multiple pieces of data to answer the question, because you may look at it and go 14 minutes for short answer. That's awesome. But that time can be shortened because that's also the time of you reading the question, understanding the question, going through the data, and then putting your answer. So the 14 minutes does go by fairly quickly. The main reason that people fail this exam is because they do not finish the constructed response. So that's the part that you really want to practice and concentrate on. We won't concentrate on all of it, but I'm just saying. So the total time for your test is 4 hours. Your possible score range is 100 through 200. But the magic glowing number that we want to concentrate on is 166. I don't care if you make exactly 166, you pass. That's all you need to make, 166. And then if you're in a program, like a practitioner program or something like that, you do want to send your scores to your program. Like AIE, you want to send your scores to AIE. Your ISLLC standards are the standards that your test is based on. This is the backbone of your test. Where do the test questions come from? They come from your ISLLC standards. So you do want to be very familiar, and it is 6. I do have another slide. You do want to be very familiar with your ISLLC standards. Do you have to learn them verbatim? Absolutely not. Nobody's going to ask you, is this standard 1? Nobody's going to ask you that, I promise. So you don't have to learn them verbatim and know exactly what they say. But you need to know that, the school vision, the vision of learning that is shared and supported by the school community, and that all your students and staff know the vision and know how you're working the vision, that is a standard, and that's where some of your questions are going to come from. So this is the backbone of the test, so you need to be familiar with it. And these are the other 3 standards. Again, this PowerPoint is on multiple sites, is on the resource for this, and it's on the actual whole PowerPoint for test prep is on my website under test prep. So you want to be familiar with these standards, and you can honestly just Google ISLLC standards and you'll get them. Okay, So I have a picture of what I call the perfect world. Now, of course, if you have sciences like I do, it looks like maybe something else, but a perfect world, we're going to go with that. Why do I have a slide of a perfect world? Well, because when you're taking this exam, you have to think of it as the perfect educational world. And I'm kind of getting a little bit into test prep, and that's why I think this is maybe the last slide because I don't want to get too far into test prep. But you really need to think about it as the perfect world. All your teachers want to teach, all your students want to learn, all your parents want to be involved. They just may not know how to do it. Okay, your school is a community center. It's open to everyone. Just perfect world, perfect world, perfect world. Time is an issue, but it's not a big issue because if you have to stay after or go before, you're going to do it. So you just really, the biggest part of this test, guys, is getting in the right mindset. That's the biggest part of this test. And what I tell people is, think about the district that you're from. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about EBR. Nobody cares about Cato. Nobody cares about what you're doing at your school. Perfect world. So as soon as you start the answer with, well, at my school, you've already done something bad. Okay, you've already messed up. Nobody cares of what you're doing specifically at your school. You need to think about it as the perfect educational world. How would I answer this question? So that's just a little test prep tidbit. Okay. So this is our time. We have good time for question and answers. And then I'm going to bring up the what I want to say, the application. We can look at that for a little bit. So, do we have any questions? This is my contact me, educatoralexander@gmail.com. It's the place where I always am. You can email me anytime. For Path 2, I need a graduate degree in education. Oh, that's okay. I already answered that. Okay. So, this is where my materials can be found. This is my Gmail address. And of course, the evaluation, if you can please go on. And on the evaluation, it also asks you, do you want more information about APEL? And you can definitely click yes, and I can send you some stuff. Do you want more information about AIE, which is one of those Pathway 3 certification practicums? So you can put a check there, and I'll send you the application. They are accepting applications for the cohort that starts in June. So if you're interested in that, you want to kind of hop on that. So please go here, and that's where you can leave a nice little comment or a mean comment, whatever you want to say about the webinar today. So let's go ahead and get some questions and answers, some questions while I put up the application packet. You can unmute your phone to ask, or you can type it in. I mean, not your phone, I'm sorry, your microphone. Any questions at all, you can raise your hand, and at least I'll know that you're going to say one or type one. Okay. Okay, well, great. Wow. Okay. I was expecting a whole bunch of questions. All right, so this is your Educational Leadership Certification Packet, and again, you can find it on that resources page on my website. I have a nice little link to it. So I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot to read on here, but you need to read it. You need to understand exactly what you need to turn in so your application won't be denied. So you see the different levels. It kind of, some of this stuff was on, sorry. Going back up. Some of this information was on the actual PowerPoint. So you see they're talking about the different paths. And of course, I'm not going to sit here and read to you. I'm just kind of showing you what's in the packet. They're talking about the number 2, which is the clock hours, and number 3, which is your accredited practitioner program. Okay, it talks about when you're ready to renew and go to EDL 2. And you can see this, the renewal guidelines. I'm going to point that out. An EDL 1 certificate that is valid for 3 years may be extended for a period of 1 year at the request of the Louisiana Employee Authority. So not at your request, but at the request of your district. And you are limited to 2 such extensions. Okay, so they talk about the EDL2 and EDL3, which we're not really concentrating on, and the turnaround specialist certificate, which we're not talking about at all for this one. Okay, then you have some general information, so you can read through that, and it's mainly about the 3 to 5 years for everything. Angelique, no questions, but thank you. Oh, well, thank you. Yolanda, I've seen the packet. May I be excused? You did an awesome job. Well, of course you can, but thank you. But please go to the evaluation. That's why I leave it up. So you can actually, if you click on evaluation and then click on browse to, it'll bring you right to it. So thank you, of course. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Yolanda. Okay, so they have the general information. So you look at the application process. It tells you everything that I just told you about the $50 non-refundable, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go to the application itself. So you do want to go ahead and, put in all your information. If you don't have an email address, you need to get one just for life purposes. You want to get one. But go ahead and put your email address on here because that's how they communicate with you sometimes. So you definitely want to put that. For your certification type, of course, you're going to be checking EDL level 1. You see that you don't have to fill out this section. It says only to be completed by 2 or 3. So don't fill out stuff that you don't have to fill out and waste your time. Okay, now you see this bottom part, to be completed by superintendent or human resources director. This is why, most of the districts tell you that you need to bring it to them so they can mail it off for you because they'll check it and sign it. Now, some of them will tell you, hey, just come bring it, I'll check it and sign it, then you mail it off. Some of them will say, we have to mail it off. So you have to bring an envelope and a stamp and everything else, and then we'll mail it off. So just check with your district to see what you need to do. I see some questions being typed, okay? So then you do have to sign it and date it. All right, this is your professional conduct form, which you will fill out for all levels. Any path you take, you're going to fill this out. So you fill this out and you put your yeses or your nos. If you answer yes, you'll have to provide some copies of documentation or, your court order or whatever. All right, then of course you sign and date it. Going down, you see that this is only for path 2. So if you are thinking about doing those clock hours, this is what you need to look at. This is the form, of course, fill out the top part. And this is the form that you're going to fill out, and you're going to have your supervisor, whoever is proving that you did what you say you did, this is what they're going to sign. So this is a very, 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 very big form for those people who are doing level path 2. And it does say that you can make copies of this sheet because this is probably not going to be enough space for you. If you scroll down, these are the experiences that they give you. They tell you to look at the bulletin that I have on the website, and they give you some stuff right here. And this tells you some of the experiences that you can have, and they kind of want you to spread them out as much as you can. They don't want the whole 240 hours coming from one thing that you did or 2 things that you did. So it's telling you, you want to kind of spread it out. So all they're saying is look through this and see what you're doing, what have you done, what do you need to do. It's not limited to just these things because you see number 30 is other. You must be specific. So it's not limited to just these things on the list. But when you see the first where it says leadership experience reference number, so if it's something that's not on the list, you'll put 30 because it's other, and then you'll fill out the rest. Okay, I see we have a question. Okay, so this is your description that you're going to fill out about your experience. So, okay, I said, what was my example earlier? That I worked on the master schedule. So I'm going to get my principal to sign off on here that I did the master schedule. I'm going to find on here if they have a listing for master schedule. If they don't, then I'll put number 30. And then this is what I fill out. It's like my evaluation experience sheet. So this is what I'm going to fill out to say what was the goals, the leadership actions, who were the participants. So it's almost like your diary entry, if you want to think about it that way. What was the outcome, the lessons learned. So you're going to fill out this for each description, each experience. So this is what's going to make up your binder or your portfolio, because you don't have to put it in a binder. So this is what's going to make up your portfolio. All right, so I have two questions. If you have done hours with a retired principal, will his or her signature be valid? Yes, they are not going to, look up who's signing your thing. I mean, so yes, as long as it was with a school, then you're fine. Where are the testing sites located? The testing sites, I'm guessing you mean for the ISLLC exam, you would have to go to the ETS website like you're about to register, and that's how you can look up the testing sites. Okay, I'm going to get to pathways, a question in a second. So if you keep scrolling down, you have the practitioner program, which is the one like AIE. This is the letter that you really don't have to worry about this. They are going to fill out this letter and send it to you. So if you do pathway 3, which is the practitioner program, whenever you're done with the program, they are going to fill out this letter and send it to you. So they're just showing you the letter. This is nothing that you have to fill out. If you do pathway 3, the only thing you're filling out is page 4 and 5, or 5 and 6. Yeah, the application itself and the professional conduct. If you're doing the master's degree, you're filling out page 5 and page 6. And the only time you fill out the rest of this stuff is if you're doing pathway 2, which is your clock hours. Because it can be a little confusion. This packet, you have to kind of go through it. Okay, question. I am a certified teacher with a master's degree, but do not work for a district. I work at a government program which works with local school district students. Can one of the local school district supervisors familiar with our work sign off on Pathway 2 form, even if we are not their actual employee? I would think so, but I would not go off of my opinion on that. That's a question I would definitely send to one of those state people. I really do think so, but do not take my word for it. I would definitely send that, since it's a very specific question and it's something that I haven't dealt with. I would definitely ask one of them, and they're really good with responding. Just give them a couple of days and they'll respond to you. Okay, so we are good with time. We are at 9:53. Yay us. We didn't go over. So that is the application process. I'm going to put back up the presentation. Do you have any questions? Again, this is sponsored by APEL, and AIE is letting us use their platform. So thank you to both of them. Do you have any questions? I see 2 people typing. And of course, you can unmute your mic and you can talk it too. Speak it. I don't know why I keep saying talk it. You can speak it too. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. At least it can get you started. No problem. I can't wait for this conference. Yay. Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. At least, like I said, at least it can get you started. Hopefully it demystified the process. Where is your previous question? Please look at my previous question. Can you copy and paste it? Okay, great. Great, Iris. Please do. Awesome. Okay, yeah, definitely do. Where is the test prep located on your website? I looked, but I did not find any information. Okie dokie. Since we have a little time left, let me show you. Very helpful. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go to my website. Okay, so you go to my website. You should be seeing my website right now. If you're not, I don't know. I can just tell you where to go. So when you go to my website, then you go to Presentations, ISLLC Test Prep. And that's all you do. You click on the big picture and it'll bring you to the resources. So go to my website, Presentations, ISLLC Test Prep. You click on the big picture and it'll bring you to the resources. Always enlightened by your... Thank you so much. I saw something for this summer in Baton Rouge. Are you talking about the conference? I can put that slide back up. Thanks for the information. It was great. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Please contact me. And of course, on that evaluation, it asks you if you want more information about APEL or if you want more information about AIE. And you can just click that and I'll be sending it. But for actual test prep, you can just email me because I didn't put a thing on there. I should have. Kanisha, APEL is hosting too. Yes, let me put it back on the screen. I can't wait for the conference. Uh-oh, sorry about that. Let me put it back up. There it is. All right, this is the conference information. I had someone ask a question about it. So you can find a lot of information on this link, apeleducators.org. And you know what? I'm going to add it to the links right here so you can actually just click on it. I'm putting it right now. Hold on. Try to make it as easy as possible. I know we are all busy. .org. Okay. So now it came up. If you just click on it and go to Browse To, you can click Browse To and it'll take you right there right now. But this is the information. It's $125. You get 2 days. I mean, it's just full of sessions, y'all. You're going to be, the only reason you're going to be mad is because you can't go to more than one session at a time. So that's what makes me mad when I go. I'm like, ugh. So, it's just full of sessions and it really is a good conference and it's local. It really is a good opportunity. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. You have an awesome weekend too. Thank you, everybody. To get off of here, you just click the X in the corner like you're closing the window. And that's all you have to do. There's no other thing to get off. But of course, please put an evaluation if you want to do it right now, which would be amazing. You can just go to the web links too. Just click on evaluation, click on browse to, and it'll bring you there right now. Any other questions? I am here. I'll just sit on here for a second and answer anybody's questions. Oh, yay! Kanisha's going to be at the conference. Yay. What is APEL? I love that question. Let's go back a little bit. What APEL is a professional organization for teachers and administrators. It's very, very non-political. That's not what their focus is on at all. It's about promoting teachers as professionals and administrators, and it's a nonprofit organization. And these are some of the benefits from it. It's not a union. It's union-esque, but it's not a union. Miranda is the representative from APEL, and she just put it's a non-union. So it's not a union. That's why they don't use that phrase at all. So she's typing. They provide the same type of services as a union, but without all the political, and definitely the cost is what got me. I hate to say that, but when it came to my school, I was like, wait, I'm getting the same type of coverage and I'm paying like uh, not 100% less, but a lot less. And that's when I joined APEL because I was getting the same service and I didn't have to pay all that money. So it's not a union, but they do have the same type of services. And I'll tell you, for the grants and scholarships, I've been applying for a scholarship, well, a grant every year. So it's definitely nice to apply, and the application process is not all grueling and things like that. So, but that's what APEL is. And Miranda just typed that you'll get all the same coverage and services, but only for $16.58 a month. So take a look at the website for tons of info, and you can even join online. And you can definitely put Desiree Alexander as your recruiter. Yay me! Any other questions? I see a lot of people are hanging out. They might have just not closed their window, or do we have any other questions? If you join APEL, you can definitely put my name as a recruiter. That'd be amazing. Okay, we have some people typing. That's awesome. Any questions at all? Awesome. Please look into it. And again, if you email me, I can email you some information. Or if you go to, the APEL website, it's a bunch on there. If you go to my website and type on, click on APEL, there's a lot of information on there. Yeah, so the information is definitely there. And I can send you the links. If you email me, I'll send you the links to everything. Okay, Miranda, I'm a say this question out loud. I'm interested in joining, but I'm a member of another organization, just like I was. What is the procedure that I should follow to join APEL? And I think I'm going to answer to that because I was in the same situation. I was a member of a union, and I wanted to join APEL, and it was just so super easy. But I'm gonna let her respond. I'm gonna let Miranda respond, but it's super easy. And you can unmute your mic too, Miranda, if you want to. Or maybe if it's letting you. Okay, we have a couple of people typing. Yeah. I felt the same way. And my mom was actually a paraprofessional and she was part of the union and I switched us both over. I was like, no, this is ridiculous. So yeah, the cost is not even comparable. Okay, so Miranda responded that there is a union drop form that you fill out and you send to either APEL or you send to your human resources department. And the form is on their website. So what I did, and I didn't want to answer before she answered. You're very welcome, Dr. Jones. What I did was I filled out the application and I filled out the union drop form and I just sent it all to APEL. And I was like, you deal with it, please. And they did. They got me out of the other. It's almost like switching phone companies where the phone company would say, we'll break up with them for you. I mean, they got me out of the other one. They put me in this one and everything was hanky dory after that. So yeah, they will handle the paperwork for you. And I'm a living testament because I did it maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And I was part of a different union, of a union, and this is not a union. Yeah. And I find I'm not trying to like promote. Well, I am promoting APEL, but I'm not trying to push it. But what I found is there's a lot more leadership opportunities with APEL too. Like with my union, I didn't know anything that they were actually doing besides when stuff happened like politically. I didn't know that I could be a leader and actually do stuff with them. And with APEL, I did. I was like, this is awesome. I can actually do presentations and things like that for them. So you get a lot more opportunities to be a leader. Miranda put a note that if you guys join now, your membership will last until June 30th, 2017. The rest of this year plus next year. I am not aware if APEL has ever been to my school. I'm not sure. It depends on, they have leaders in every, around the states. I don't know if your leader has been to your school. What school are you? What district in school? I know Miranda's going to ask. So Miranda said that you do get 3 months free by joining now. And I think it's Evora, or I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Miranda asks what schooling that they'll make a special trip just for you to make sure that they come out. Timmins in Caddo Parish, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we have somebody else typing. If anybody has questions about anything, just let us know. Will it be drafted from HR or come as a withdrawal from the bank? I hope that makes sense. It makes complete sense. I think it's your choice, but I know you can get it drafted from HR because mine comes directly from my school account, from my paychecks from school. Okay, we have some typing going on. Yeah, you can do either draft it from HR or you can get it withdraw from your bank. And they said it was 16, I can't remember the exact 16.58, I think a month. So that means from each paycheck they're only drafting like, $8, less than $8. So think about it, that if you get paid twice a month from each check is only going to be about $8. Okay, do we have any other questions? This is a very good discussion. Please remember to go fill out the evaluation. Any other questions? Count me in. All right, we have a new member. Woohoo! Remember to put my name for evaluate for recruiter. Desiree, DESI. No, just put my name for recruiter. Oh, no problem at all. Seriously, no problem at all. Good, thank you. I'm glad it was. Okay, so we don't have any other questions. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and close the room. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy about that. All right, bye. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend. Stay dry, hopefully. You're very welcome, Wade. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out the room. And y'all have a great weekend.